Hello, and welcome to EOS Weekly, your weekly recap of EOS news and events. If you're looking for the Cliff's Notes version of EOS news, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe to our channel, and we'll turn you into a highly informed member of the EOS community, all in 15-minute or less weekly episodes. Today is Thursday, July 26th, and the title of this week's episode is BP's Vote to Up the RAM Supply. So let's get into this week's update. In EOS Events, on Friday, July 22nd, many of the EOS Black producers and dApp developers got together in Seoul, South Korea, for the EOS Community Conference 2018. This was a fairly impromptu conference thrown together in a matter of weeks, but got a great turnout from the EOS community. The entire conference is available on YouTube. The link is in the show notes below. Panels were held to discuss governance, RAM, dApps, and the attending Black producers were each given a 90-second window to give a sales pitch as to why they deserve the EOS token holders' vote. In general, Black producers did not focus on their hardware setup during these speeches. The speeches tended to be more geared towards community involvement. For example, many Black producers are working on ways to onboard dApp developers, while others are building dApps themselves. Every Black producer has a website where they explain the various projects they are working on to give back to the EOS community. We at EOS Weekly are currently researching the various projects, and we'll be releasing a special episode on the top 10 most exciting Black producer projects. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss this upcoming episode. From Seoul, a subset of the attendees flew to Shanghai for the EOS Family Day conference on July 23rd. At this conference, Brock Pierce announced that EOS VC will be investing $1 billion to promote EOS construction. EOS Gravity was one of the conference sponsors and provided a detailed recap of the day's events. The link to this recap is in the show notes below. The next big upcoming event is an EOS Hackathon on August 4th and 5th in Sydney, Australia. This is sponsored by block.one, and according to the website eoshackathon.io, they will be giving out $1.5 million in prizes, swag, gadgets, and travel. We'll be excited to see the results of that hackathon, and we'll report on it here in upcoming episodes. In governance news, the next major milestone we are working towards in maturing EOS governance is something called the Referendum Contract. In the diagram shown here of the EOS ecosystem, you can see the referendum process on the left side of the screen in between token holders and the Constitution. The Constitution is a critical part of the EOS ecosystem because it informs how several of the other parts interrelate. For example, it is difficult to make progress on the worker proposal system until we have a Constitution that helps define the purpose of the worker proposal system. The current EOS Constitution was thrown together somewhat hastily in the weeks leading up to the launch. Since then, Dan Larimer has proposed a brand new Constitution more focused on a concept he calls the intent of code. The link to Dan's proposed Constitution is in the show notes below. But until we get that referendum contract functionality in place, we don't have a way to approve constitutional changes on the blockchain. So, of all the governance work underway, this one is in the spotlight at the moment. And that leads us to a quick update on RAM. On Wednesday, July 25th, the block producers voted on whether to increase the amount of RAM gradually at a rate of 1 kilobyte per block. This was the solution Dan Larimer suggested a few weeks ago. 15 of the top 21 block producers did indeed vote yes, approving the proposal. So we expect to see the gradual RAM increase implemented in the next few days as the code change was already implemented. This ought to put some downward pressure on the price, but this alone will probably not be enough to bring the RAM price down to the desired levels. So, further ideas are being explored. One such idea, proposed by Dan Larimer, is to distribute the RAM trading fees to the EOS token holders based on how much EOS they have staked. Currently, anytime someone buys or sells RAM, they are charged a 0.5% trading fee. This money goes into the EOS RAM account, which is an account basically owned by the EOS community. Now, the initial plan was to burn the RAM trading fee tokens. This would essentially be increasing the value of all EOS tokens by decreasing the total supply. But what Dan Larimer is suggesting here is that instead of burning the RAM fees, those tokens are distributed to holders of staked EOS tokens. This means that those who are not procuring RAM and are leaving RAM available for other community members to use would benefit by seeing their total token supply gradually increase over time. This idea is still being discussed, and we will report on it further on future episodes. The RAM price is lower since last week, currently trading in the range of 0.25 to 0.31 EOS per kilobyte of RAM. This continues to be off the high set on July 3rd of 0.91 per EOS per kilobyte. There is a correlation in the price dropping with the discussions leading up to the vote to increase RAM per block, as well as the price dropping once again once the vote passed. It's hard to say whether there's a causation here or if it's more of a coincidence. You can follow the live RAM price at marketstack.io. The link is in the show notes below. In dApp news. So far, the main apps that have been launched on the EOS mainnet are games. This is not including utilities like wallets and block explorers. One of these games is called MonsterEOS, which you can find at monstereos.io, and another one is called CryptoWizards, which you can find at wizards.one. These are basically the EOS versions of CryptoKitties, but of course, so far, these have not brought down the EOS network as CryptoKitties did with Ethereum. The links to these games are in the show notes below. There is something called Block.Twitter, which has been sending thousands upon thousands of transactions onto the EOS blockchain. It's mainly been Block.Twitter which has been showing off the potential speed of EOS, already clocking over 3,000 transactions per second. But this is barely scratching the surface of what EOS is capable of. Rumor has it that the BPs are going to do some sort of exercise on August 8th that will truly demonstrate the speed of EOS. Block.Twitter does not seem to be an actual app with any purpose that we can find as of yet. There's very little information available on it, but if we do find anything, we will report on it in future episodes. Moving on to airdrop updates. The Black token airdrop arrived on July 22nd on a 1-to-1 ratio. This is from a South Korean company called EOS Black. EOS Black is a fork of the EOS.io code, similar to Telos. Telos, however, has some well-respected block producers behind it. EOS Black does not seem to have the backing of any known block producers. The goal of EOS Black is to make the entry for dApp creation as simple and inexpensive as possible, and the token system is set up to provide promising dApps with the resources they need for success. EOS Black is targeting to launch in about a year, in Q2 of 2019. You can find more information at eosblack.io. The link is in the show notes below. This was the only airdrop to go out in the last week. Airdrops for EOS.com shows the dates of upcoming airdrops. These are targeted dates, and there's no guarantee that the dApps will stick to this schedule, but the next few airdrops coming soon are EOS Cafe, Cards and Tokens, and Driveaholic. Several others have Q3 2018 listed as their drop date. And that brings us to our EOS featured project of the week. One of the main things that's so exciting about EOS is that it provides a platform for tokenizing various functions that people do today for free. Today, you hear terms like the sharing economy or the gig economy, but in the near future, we will be entering the tokenized economy. This will become part of the zeitgeist in the decade to come. What will be beautiful about this tokenized economy is that it will turn everybody into entrepreneurs. There will be countless ways to earn money in the form of tokens that today we haven't even considered yet. But it seems that one of the first use cases that will demonstrate to the world how the tokenized economy will benefit them is going to come in the form of polls and surveys. We are all familiar with SurveyMonkey, but imagine an app like SurveyMonkey where you can earn money for each and every survey you fill out, and even earning income on past surveys you completed because a company or analyst wanted to access the results of that past survey. This is an incredibly exciting idea, and that is why we have chosen iRespo as this week's EOS project of the week. iRespo is building a tokenized poll and survey app that incentivizes people to participate in polls. It also makes the results of that poll accessible beyond the initial creator of the poll. Why recreate the wheel? If a survey has already been sent out to the desired demographic and the data is gathered, imagine a second or third analyst could pay to access the results of that same survey instead of creating a new survey from scratch. And whenever analysts do pay to see those results, the respondents of that survey get a cut of the payment. iRespo is on track to be one of the first apps to lead us into this new tokenized world. It has a use case that is easy to understand and is vital to consumer research and product development industries. SurveyMonkey has already sent out 100 million surveys. Imagine if people were getting paid for completing all those surveys, or if analysts could access the results of pre-existing surveys instead of creating new ones from scratch. It is very exciting that dApps like iRespo are being built, where people get paid for their time and can even earn future dividends for tasks they completed in the past. Another exciting thing about iRespo is that they will be the first dApp to launch an ICO on top of EOS. The iRespo ICO starts on August 1st, and you can participate in it purchasing iRespo tokens with EOS tokens or with fiat money. You can find more information on iRespo.com. The link is in the show notes below. Congratulations to iRespo on being selected this week's EOS Project of the Week. If you would like to nominate a great EOS project to be recognized here, please ping us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EOS Weekly. That's it for this week's episode of EOS Weekly. Please like and subscribe if you found this content informative and you want to continue to stay current on EOS as this revolution unfolds. Thanks, and we'll see you next week right here on EOS Weekly.